Hey tribe, welcome back. In this video, we're going to answer an amazing question. And the question is this, is you've been doing law of assumption. You've been doing everything right. You've been doing it for maybe weeks, months, and maybe years, but you've been doing it perfectly in your opinion, but it still isn't working for you. You still feel like I haven't attracted what I want. So the law of assumption doesn't work. So what's going on? And most importantly, we're going to dive into Neville Goddard's material because Neville Goddard actually answers this question and he can actually fix it for you and fix it for me. What's really going on when we feel like, dude, I've been doing everything. I've been doing everything right, but it still isn't working. So other than that, let's jump into this. This book would not be complete without some discussion of failure and the attempted use of the law of assumption. It is entirely possible that you either have had or will have a number of failures in this respect, many of them in really important matters. If, having read this book, having a thorough knowledge of the application and working of the law of assumption, you faithfully apply it in every effort to attain some intense desire and fail, what is the reason? So basically, you've done everything you can. You've basically followed everything to the T, to the best of your knowledge, the best of your ability, and you still fall up short. Okay, you're not attaining what you really want. Now, if to the question, did you persist enough, you can answer yes, and still the attainment of your desire was not realized, what is the reason of failure? Now, again, Neville Goddard kind of pushes this even farther, saying, hey, you persisted. I did everything in my power and it still didn't come true. I hung in there. You said persist and it will happen. And I persisted and it's still not happening. What's going on and how to fix it? Listen, the answer to this is the most important factor in the successful use of the law of assumption. The time it takes your assumption to become fact, your desire to be fulfilled, is directly proportionate to the naturalness of your feeling of already being what you want to be and of already having what you desire. Now, this is a key I want you to kind of focus in on, what Neville Goddard said right here. The naturalness. Okay, I'm going to read this one more time, and I'm not going to explain it too much because I know Neville Goddard explains this, and I'll, of course, put in my commentary. Listen to this one more time and I read it. Listen, this is why things are not coming to you. This is why the law of assumption, in your opinion, isn't working. Okay, now listen. The time it takes for your assumption to become fact, your desire to be fulfilled, is directly proportionate to the naturalness of your feeling already being what you want to be, of already having what you desire. Listen, he goes further. The fact that it does not feel natural to you to be what you imagine yourself to be is the secret of your failure. Ha ha, we're coming to it. Listen, if I can highlight this, listen, I'll read this one more time to you. Listen, this is a secret to everything. This is a big secret why everything fails and things don't work. Listen, the fact that it does not feel natural to you to be what you imagine yourself to be is the secret of failure. Listen to this. If you want to be a millionaire, you want to make more money, the fact that it doesn't feel natural to you in your 3D world that you're already a millionaire is why you're not a millionaire right now, because it doesn't feel natural. You're still listen to this, you're still operating from a scarcity habits, a scarcity mindset. Okay, when you're around money, it still makes you feel nervous. Every time you spend money, you go out to eat, you get a little bit of knot in your stomach. You don't feel natural around money. And since you don't feel natural around money or talking about money, well, that's what's holding you back from having your assumption become true, being a millionaire. You understand what I'm saying? It's all about naturalness. So let's move on here. Regardless of your desire, regardless of how faithfully and intelligently you follow the law, listen to this, okay? Neville Goddard is really picking it apart. Listen, regardless of your desire, regardless of what you want, regardless of how faithfully and how strong you believe that you can have what you want, and intelligently You follow the law. You follow the law to the T. You rip it apart like I do. You're super anal. You want to know every ounce of detail on the law of assumption, no matter how intelligent you think you are. Listen, if you do not feel natural about what you want to be, you will not be it. Now I'll say this one more time. If you do not feel natural about what you want to be, you will not be it. It will not come to you. If it does not feel natural to you to get a better job, you will not get a better job. Listen to that. If it doesn't feel natural, if you're trying to get a better job, you're moving up in your career, maybe you don't like a job, whatever, you want to get your dream job, your dream career, but if that dream job, dream career, it doesn't feel natural to you, you still get nervous around it, you get nervous around thinking about it, you're not natural yet. It's not natural to you. Listen to this. If you believe that you already have something, you're natural. And look at it this way. If you already have something, truly, you're not pretending, okay? You're not going inside your imagination, okay? Something real. You already have your car outside, okay? Doesn't matter if you like it or don't like it. Doesn't matter if it just gets you from point A to point B. The fact is you already have your car. So if you already have a car, you feel natural around it because it's your car. You had it for a long time. So you don't even think about it. You feel natural around it, okay? It doesn't make you nervous because somebody's talking about a car or somebody talking about cars. You don't get all nervous around it because you feel natural around it because you have a car. Okay, let me give you another example. And this is something I actually went through because I live in Thailand. I go back and forth to the States and stuff like that. But I've lived in Thailand for 4 years. Now in Thailand, a lot of Thai don't have a car. Now some Thai do. There are a lot of cars in Thailand. But a lot of Thai, a lot of families don't have a car. So having a car is kind of like taboo to them. Okay, like they really want a car, but they don't know how it feels to have a car. Okay, but coming from me, I've had a car ever since I was 16. Wait a second, was I 16? I was driving when I was 16, 17. I mean, I had my own car. I bought my own car when I was around 2021. So 2020, not 2021, I was 21. In 2021, I bought my first car ever. But you get what I'm saying. I've been driving a car since I was 16, 17. I bought my own car when I was 21 years old. And so when I come to Thailand, it's just natural to me to have a car. I've always had a car. Coming from the States, everybody has a car. No matter if you like it or not, no matter if it's your dream car or not, you have a car. You feel natural around it because you've always had a car. Makes sense? But to a Thai or a lot of Thai that didn't grow up having a car, that's their big desire. That's their big intention. Okay, but they don't feel natural yet. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, it's kind of the same thing. You got to look at it as something you really have right now. You feel natural around it. You hardly think about it. You don't overthink it, overanalyze it. You carry yourself like you've always had it because you always have had it. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. So this is why Neville Goddard is saying, if you do not feel natural about what you want to be, you will not be it. No matter how hard you work, it will not happen to you until you feel natural about it. And he goes farther. If it does not feel natural to you to get a better job, you will not get a better job, period. The whole principle is vividly expressed in the Bible phrase, you die in your sins. You do not transcend from your present level to the state desired. Now, in the green here, Neville Goddard answers the follow-up question. We've been basically talking about, okay, I've been doing all this work. I've been hanging in there. I'm persistent. I've done everything I can do. And the law of assumptions still fail. And Neville Goddard says, well, the reason why you're failing is because you don't feel natural in your assumption. That's why it's not coming to you. Now, the follow-up question is, well, how can this feeling of naturalness be achieved? How can I feel natural of my wish fulfilled? So Neville Goddard, of course, answers this question. I'm being funny with you a little bit here. These are fun to kind of go through. Now listen to this. The secret lies in one word, imagination. So how can this feeling of naturalness be achieved? The secret lies in one word: imagination. Let's continue. For example, this is a very simple illustration. Assume that you are securely chained to a large, heavy iron bench. You could not possibly run. In fact, you could not even walk. In these circumstances, it would not be natural for you to run. You could not even feel that it was natural for you to run, but you could easily imagine yourself running. In that instant, while your consciousness is filled with your imagined running, you have forgotten that you are bound. In imagination, your running was completely natural. The essential feeling of naturalness can be achieved by persistently filling your consciousness with imagination, imagining yourself being what you want to be or having what you desire. Listen, this is proof in the pudding. Okay, really what Neville Goddard is saying is in the beginning, you're basically saying, I could be saying the same thing, that, dude, I'm doing all I can do. I'm following law of assumption to the T, but I'm not getting what I want. Then Neville Goddard says, well, you're not being natural, Chad. And I ask him, well, how do I be natural? How can I be natural? And he said, it's in your imagination. Imagination creates reality. But really, Neville Goddard at the same time is almost calling your bluff, okay? Because basically what he's saying is that you're not living inside your imagination enough. You're not doing it enough. Okay, you're too caught up into your 3D world. You're letting your circumstances of your 3D world control you. You're not persistent enough inside your imagination. That's really what Neville Goddard is saying here. So let's read this so we can move on. The essential feeling of naturalness can be achieved by persistently filling your consciousness with imagination, imagining yourself being what you want to be or having what you desire. Progress can spring only from your imagination, from your desire to transcend your present level. What you truly and literally must feel is that your imagination, all things are possible. Listen to this. See, this is why Neville Goddard and other lectures, other chapters, other books ties imagination to God. Your imagination comes from God. Okay, that's where your intuition comes from and everything else. But listen to this. What you truly and literally must feel is that with your imagination, all things are possible. All things are possible. That's why I tell you, if you can imagine it, you can be it. If you can imagine it, you can have it. If you can imagine it, it can come in your 3D world 100%. Okay, all things are possible inside your imagination. Let's continue. You must realize that changes are not caused by surprise, but by a change of consciousness. And I don't know if I pronounced that word right. I apologize. I'm not a grammar expert here. I'm sure you can tell. But listen, you must realize that changes are not caused by caprice, but by a change of consciousness. The only way you make changes is by a change of your consciousness. You're not forcing it from the outside. That's what Neville Goddard is saying. You're not trying to find the how. You're not looking for the how. You're not trying to figure it out outside of you. It's within your consciousness. You may fail to achieve or sustain the particular state of consciousness necessary to produce the effect you desire. But once you know that consciousness is the only reality and is the sole creator of your particular world, and have burnt this truth into your whole being, then you know that success or failure is entirely in your own hands. I love when he said that. It's a little bit wordy, but I do love what he says right from here. Meaning that you've persisted, you've done it so much. You're inside your imagination, okay? Whatever you assume to be true for you has to come into your reality. You're inside your imagination as much as possible, okay? Even if you bounce out, you'll come back in, okay? You'll go back and forth, and you persist in it as much as you possibly can. And Neville Goddard says, until you've burnt this truth into your whole being, until you've done it enough and you burn it inside you to your whole being, then you know that success or failure is entirely in your own hands. Okay, you're responsible. You're responsible for anything that's going on into your life, good or bad, or things you love or things you hate or dislike. You're responsible for it. It's coming from you. It's coming from your own consciousness. Whether or not you are disciplined enough to sustain the required state of consciousness in specific instances has no bearings on the truth of the law itself. That an assumption, if persisted in, will harden in effect. I'll repeat that one more time. And I know if you study Neville Goddard, you probably heard this phrase over and over and over. That an assumption, if persisted in, will harden in effect. But in this chapter, Neville Goddard is kind of directly hinting to and saying that you haven't persisted in it long enough. Okay, even though you're saying, I've done everything, okay, but you're lacking the imagination, you're lacking persistence or being persistent in going inside your imagination. Because Neville Goddard knows if you persist in it, it has to come into your reality. Bottom line. Listen, the certainty of the truth of this law must remain despite great disappointment and tragedy. Even when you see the light of life go out and all the world go on as though it were still day, you must not believe that because your assumption failed to materialize. The truth that assumptions do materialize is a lie. If your assumptions are not fulfilled, it is because of some error or weakness in your consciousness. Okay, does that make sense? I'll read it one more time. It is because of some error or weakness in your consciousness. Okay, let me read it. I kind of highlighted not the whole paragraph here. I apologize. If your assumptions are not fulfilled and fail, they don't come to you. It is because of some error or weakness in your consciousness. And this is something like when I was mentored by Bob Proctor before he passed away and stuff like that. This is something I caught Bob. He would say in every single seminar I went to. He would always, at some point of the seminar, he would always have somebody more privately come up to him and say, "You're not telling me anything new. I've heard all this stuff before." And Bob would say, "But there's something missing. You've heard this stuff before. You've listened to it, but you haven't figured it out. You don't know this material as well as you think you do. Because if you did, you would be getting the results that you want. And if you're not getting the results that you want, if you're not manifesting what you desire, if you're not living life on your terms, if you're not living life, somebody's not going to. Yeah, I'm doing a video. I'll be done in a minute. Okay. I got interrupted there for a second.
Really quick here, friends. Do you want a challenge that's going to make every dream of yours come true?
You see, my friends, the issue is when you start trying to live life on your terms, you're doing everything right. See, that's the problem. That's how you feel. You're trying your hardest, but nothing is changing. Now, in the challenge, there's no fluff, there's no hype. It's just real transformation delivered daily. We are going to the core. We are going to the root cause why things are not working for you. All you got to do is go to the description, click see more. Everything will pop up and you will see the 30-day breakthrough challenge. Click the link and it will take you right over to that. But with Bob Proctor, kind of continuing with Bob Proctor before I got interrupted there, is that Bob Proctor would say, okay, you've heard this stuff a million times, but you're still not getting what you want. Okay, even if you believe the law of assumption, what you assume to be true has to come into your reality, but it's not working. What you have to understand, it's you that's not working. Okay, the proof is in the pudding. If you're not getting the result in your 3D world, well, you don't know this material as good as you think you do. But the big but is it's your job to figure out why. You understand that? Now let's move on here. However, these errors and weaknesses can be overcome. Therefore, press on to the attainment of even higher levels by feeling that you already are the person you want to be. And remember that the time it takes your assumption to become reality is proportionate to the naturalness of being it. Okay, let me highlight this. Where do I want to go? Therefore, press on. Okay, right here. This is really important. Now, Neville Goddard says something really important here. Listen, And remember that the time it takes for your assumption to become a reality is directly proportionate to the naturalness of being it. You understand this now. Okay? Are you kind of understanding what the word naturalness means? Is if you want to be a millionaire, it's about you being natural. Like the biggest thing of being a natural around you want to be a millionaire is you're okay. You're okay about money. Okay, when people talk about money, you fully are okay with it. You're fully okay with spending money. When you go somewhere, you don't still get knots in your stomach. It doesn't phase you. You're natural around it. Okay, it's almost like you're being that millionaire right now today. But what he's kind of meaning is that if you're around money, you hear people talk about money, you still have those tiny voices in your head like, oh my God, oh, money is only important to him. Why is he talking about money all the time? Or you get a knot in your stomach about it. You understand? Or you go out to eat with a friend and you're secretly thinking, am I going to pay for it? Who's going to pay for it? I don't know if I can afford it. You know what I mean? That's you not being natural around money. That's you not being the most successful version of you. In that moment, who are you being? Okay, you're basically being the old self. You're basically being the poverty mindset. You're not being that multimillionaire you want to be. Okay, that's a better way to explain it. Okay, who are you being in that moment? That's how you have to decipher stuff. And the longer you can stay in that most successful version of you, you're going to build up that naturalness where you're just kind of going to move on through the day. It doesn't affect you anymore. And once you become natural, that's what Neville Goddard is meaning. Then this is where the little quote by Neville comes up. And remember that the time it takes for your assumption to become a reality is directly proportionate to your naturalness of being it. The more natural you are, it closes that gap, and what you want comes faster to you. Okay, now this sums up the rest of the chapter here. And it's a little passage by Emerson. So let's read it. Man surrounds himself with a true image of himself. Every spirit builds itself a house, and beyond its house a world, and beyond its world a heaven. Know then that the world exists for you. For you, the phenomenon is perfect. What we are, that only we can see. All that Adam had, all that Caesar could, you have and can do. Adam called his house heaven and earth. Caesar called his house Rome. You perhaps call yours a cobbler's trade, a hunter's acres of land, or a scholar's garret. Yet line for line and point for point, your dominion is as great as theirs. Listen to that. This is really, I love that right there. I'll reread it one more time. Listen, yet line for line and point to point, your dominion is as great as theirs, though without fine name. Build, therefore, your own world as fast as you conform your life to the pure idea in your mind that will unfold its great proportion. Emerson. But sorry about that, tribe, because in the middle of the video, everybody's coming home. Everybody was away. I was in here doing the video, and everybody's like coming in saying, Chad, what are you doing? Chad, where are you? Like looking for me like I've been lost or something. So I do apologize. So hopefully you got a lot of stuff out of this video, but let's sum it up here for a second. Like, because in the beginning, basically we're kind of in this concept is I'm doing everything I can do and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Then Neville Goddard comes along and says, well, the main thing you're doing is you're not being natural. You understand? And so then you're trying to grasp this whole natural thing. Okay, that makes sense. You know, if I want to be a millionaire, then it's about me being that person right now today. Okay, and it's about you figuring out and doing your homework and persisting in it and persisting in your imagination until you are natural. Just like maybe you don't want to be a millionaire. Maybe you want your dream house, your dream car. Okay, but you don't feel natural enough around your dream house. Okay, for some reason, when you start looking at rich houses, really wealthy houses, you still got knots in your stomach. Maybe you still have a tiny voice saying, oh, how can you afford that? You get me? So you're not 100% natural around it. Just like if you already own, just like that's why I gave you an example. Okay, the car you have right now, you're natural around it, baby. You don't think about it. Okay, when people talk about cars, you don't get knots in your stomach. You're natural around it. You carry yourself like you've had a car your whole life because you probably have had a car your whole life. You understand what I'm saying? So then Neville says, then the next question, of course, is okay, I understand Neville says the reason why it's not working is because I'm not being natural around it. And Neville is linking that what your assumption is directly proportionate to how natural you can be, being that person right now, how natural you are, that basically folds everything together. That's how things come to you rather quickly. Then Neville says, and you ask, like, well, how can I be natural? What does that really mean? Then Neville comes back and says, it's all in your imagination, baby. It's imagination creates reality. And he says, he goes a step further, the reason why you're not natural yet is because you haven't persisted enough inside your imagination. So he knows that you're not going inside your imagination. He knows that you're still wandering around in your 3D world. You're still looking for the how. You're still looking outside of yourself, trying to figure out how to do everything yourself, when in fact, nothing's outside of you. Everything's inside of you within your own consciousness. So that's how Neville knows right away that, well, you haven't persisted in your imagination long enough. You're not doing it long enough. Or you're not even going inside your imagination at all. Because if you can see it in your imagination, it will come into your reality. And that's really the secret, my friends, is how powerful your imagination is. But other than that, friends, tribe, YouTube fam, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to cut this video short. My brain's a little bit scattered right now because everybody came home, like I said, and they're looking for me, waiting for me, and brought food and stuff. They're like knocking on the windows, knocking on the door, stuff like that. But anyway, if you have questions about this, comment below, and I'll help you out as much as I can. If not, I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.